The most important thing for me was the obvious reality that my sister wasn't around anymore, and I wanted to speak for her honestly and truly and fully, and that was it really. That's all I tried to do, and it felt right after I'd written it, you know.
Could a single letter really rewrite one of the biggest stories in modern royal history? That's exactly what a viral online claim is suggesting. According to recent reports circulating on social media, a previously unseen letter, allegedly written by Princess Diana, paints a very different picture of her relationship with Princess Anne than the one the public has believed for decades. But how much of this story is supported by evidence and how much remains speculation? Today, we're separating documented history from extraordinary claims as we examine one of the internet's most talked about royal mysteries. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Crown Secrets, and turn on notifications for more fascinating royal documentaries. The letter that sparked a royal firestorm. It began with a story that spread across social media almost overnight. According to a widely shared transcript circulating online, Charles Spencer, Princess Diana's younger brother, supposedly revealed a handwritten letter that had remained hidden from the public for nearly 3 decades. Supporters of the story claim the document was discovered among the Spencer family archives at Althorp House and dated just weeks before Diana's tragic death in August 1997. If authentic, the alleged letter would dramatically challenge one of the longest-standing assumptions about the royal family. For years, popular culture often portrayed Princess Diana and Princess Anne as 2 women with very different personalities who rarely shared a close relationship. Diana was frequently described as warm, emotional, and deeply connected with the public, while Anne earned a reputation for being practical, reserved, and intensely committed to royal duty. That contrast became part of the public narrative. But according to the viral claims, the alleged letter suggests something very different. Supporters of the story argue that Diana considered Anne one of the few members of the royal family she genuinely trusted during one of the most difficult periods of her life. The transcript even claims Diana reached out to Anne seeking guidance and support as she navigated the challenges following her separation from Prince Charles. Those claims have captured enormous public attention. However, there is an important distinction that cannot be ignored. As of now, there is no publicly verified evidence confirming that such a letter exists, that Charles Spencer has announced its discovery, or that independent historians have authenticated the document described in the viral story. That hasn't stopped the speculation. Online discussions quickly expanded beyond the letter itself. Some users suggested the alleged discovery could reshape public understanding of Diana's final months, while others questioned whether it represented genuine history or simply another example of how royal stories evolve on the internet. The appeal is easy to understand. The British royal family has always fascinated the public, partly because so much of royal life happens behind closed doors. Whenever an alleged diary, letter, or private conversation emerges, millions of people naturally wonder whether it contains information that changes what they thought they knew. Sometimes newly released documents genuinely reshape history. Other times, dramatic claims circulate long before credible evidence catches up, or never does. That is why historians place such importance on authentication. Original documents must be examined, handwriting verified, provenance established, and historical context confirmed before extraordinary conclusions can be drawn. Without those steps, even the most convincing story remains exactly that, a story. Still, whether authentic or not, the alleged letter has reopened an interesting discussion. What was Princess Diana's real relationship with Princess Anne? Was the public image created by decades of headlines completely accurate? Or was the reality far more nuanced than newspapers ever suggested? To answer those questions, it's important to step away from internet speculation and return to what is actually documented about the 2 women. What history actually tells us. Unlike many viral stories that spread online, the historical record surrounding Princess Diana and Princess Anne is surprisingly limited. Neither woman frequently discussed the other in public interviews, and much of what is known comes from biographies, royal correspondence, and accounts from people who worked within royal circles. What emerges is a far more complicated picture than the simple rivalry often portrayed by tabloids. Princess Anne and Diana possessed very different personalities. Anne had spent her entire adult life carrying out royal duties with little interest in publicity. She developed a reputation as one of the hardest working members of the royal family, often preferring action over media attention. Diana, meanwhile, transformed the role of Princess of Wales. Her warmth, openness, and ability to connect emotionally with the public made her one of the most recognizable women in the world. Cameras followed her everywhere, and international media documented nearly every aspect of her life. Because of those differences, many observers naturally assumed the two women had little in common. Yet several royal biographers have suggested their relationship was more respectful than hostile. While they were never described as especially close friends, there is also little documented evidence supporting the idea that they were bitter enemies. Like many families, particularly one living under extraordinary public pressure, their relationship appears to have evolved over time. During the difficult years surrounding Charles and Diana's separation, the entire royal family faced unprecedented media attention. Every interaction became the subject of public analysis. Every appearance together generated headlines. Even moments of ordinary family life were interpreted as signs of hidden conflict. In that environment, perceptions often became more powerful than reality. This helps explain why stories like the alleged letter gain so much attention today. They offer an alternative narrative to one people believed for decades. According to supporters of the viral transcript, Diana allegedly viewed Anne not as a distant relative, but as someone she believed understood both the institution and the personal sacrifices required to serve it. Those claims remain unverified. No authenticated historical documents currently support that specific portrayal. However, historians generally agree that Anne has long been regarded as one of the monarchy's most dependable figures. Her reputation for discretion is well established. Throughout decades of public service, she has rarely commented on private family matters, even during periods of enormous controversy. That documented restraint has led some people to wonder whether Anne knows more about certain moments in royal history than she has ever publicly revealed. Of course, knowing something and proving it are entirely different matters. History depends on evidence, not assumptions. Even so, the continued fascination with Diana, Anne, and the royal family demonstrates how deeply people remain invested in understanding what happened behind palace walls. And if the alleged letter is only the beginning of the story, the next claims become even more extraordinary. Extraordinary claims and the search for evidence. As the alleged letter continued spreading online, the story became increasingly dramatic. The transcript claimed Diana had not only written to Princess Anne, but had also entrusted her with deeply personal concerns about her future and the future of Princes William and Harry. According to the viral account, Diana believed Anne was one of the few people inside the royal family who could be trusted to put the well-being of her sons above palace traditions. Supporters of the story point to the alleged tone of the letter as evidence that Diana viewed Anne as a confidant rather than a distant relative. If true, it would challenge decades of public assumptions about their relationship. Instead of rivals separated by personality and protocol, the two women would appear united by concern for the next generation of the monarchy. However, this is also where the story requires the greatest caution. The transcript goes on to make several extraordinary claims, including descriptions of secret delivery methods, hidden archives, confidential legal strategies, and attempts by palace officials to prevent the document from becoming public. It even suggests that multiple copies of the letter were preserved in different locations for decades. At present, none of these claims have been independently verified through credible historical sources. No official announcement from Charles Spencer has confirmed the discovery described in the transcript. Likewise, no authenticated archival records, court filings, or statements from recognized historians have substantiated the alleged events. While online discussions often present these details with great confidence, confidence alone is not evidence. That distinction is important because history depends on documentation. Professional historians evaluate private correspondence through a careful process. They examine the document's origin, compare handwriting with authenticated samples, analyze the age of the paper and ink, and establish an unbroken chain of custody showing exactly where the document has been stored over time. Only after those steps can historians determine whether a newly discovered letter should become part of the historical record. Without that process, remarkable stories remain exactly that, remarkable stories. Even so, the popularity of the alleged letter reflects something larger than the document itself. It highlights the public's enduring fascination with Princess Diana. Nearly 3 decades after her death, Diana remains one of the most discussed members of the modern royal family. Every new claim, photograph, diary entry, or unpublished anecdote attracts worldwide attention because many people still feel there are unanswered questions surrounding her life. That emotional connection makes stories like this particularly compelling. For some readers, the alleged letter represents hope that previously unknown pieces of history may someday emerge. For others, it serves as a reminder to approach sensational claims with healthy skepticism until credible evidence becomes available. Interestingly, historians point out that both reactions are valuable. Curiosity encourages research. Skepticism protects historical accuracy. When balanced together, they help separate genuine discoveries from stories that simply capture the public imagination. Whether this alleged letter ultimately proves authentic or not, it has already accomplished one thing. It has encouraged millions of people to revisit the historical record and ask new questions about relationships inside Britain's most famous family. Sometimes those questions lead to genuine discoveries. Sometimes they simply remind us how easily popular narratives can become accepted as fact. Princess Anne's quiet reputation. One reason the alleged letter has resonated with so many people is that it builds upon something already well documented: Princess Anne's reputation for discretion. For decades, Anne has been regarded as one of the hardest working members of the royal family. Unlike many of her relatives, she has rarely sought media attention and has consistently focused on official engagements rather than public image. That reputation is supported by years of documented royal service. Throughout numerous family controversies, Anne has largely avoided public commentary, whether during difficult periods involving Charles and Diana, later challenges faced by the monarchy, or other highly publicized events. She has remained notably private. This long-standing silence has naturally encouraged speculation. Many people wonder whether Anne witnessed important moments in royal history that will never become public. Of course, that possibility exists for many senior members of the royal family. Living within the monarchy inevitably means observing conversations and events that remain private, but private knowledge should never be confused with public evidence. The transcript suggests Anne secretly preserved the alleged letter for decades before eventually supporting its release. While that storyline makes for compelling drama, there is currently no verified evidence confirming that those events occurred. Nevertheless, the claim resonates because it aligns with Anne's public image. She has long been viewed as dependable, disciplined, and intensely loyal to both her family and her constitutional responsibilities. Those qualities have earned respect from historians across the political spectrum. In recent years, public appreciation for Princess Anne has grown considerably. Surveys regularly rank her among the most respected working royals, with many people praising her consistency and commitment to public service rather than media attention. That respect has encouraged some observers to reassess her role during earlier chapters of royal history. Perhaps, they argue, Anne played a more significant supportive role behind the scenes than the public ever realized. That idea is certainly possible, but distinguishing possibility from proof remains essential. History is filled with examples where later evidence has changed long-held assumptions. At the same time, history is equally full of dramatic stories that ultimately failed to withstand careful examination. The challenge is knowing which category a new claim belongs to. That process often takes years. New documents are authenticated, archives are opened. Researchers compare evidence from multiple independent sources. Only then does speculation sometimes become accepted history. Until that happens, the alleged Diana letter remains exactly what it is today: a widely discussed claim rather than an established historical document. Yet perhaps the greatest lesson from this story has little to do with whether the letter exists. Instead, it reveals how powerfully the public continues to connect with Princess Diana's legacy. Nearly 30 years after her passing, people remain eager to understand her relationships, her concerns, and the private experiences hidden behind the formal ceremonies of royal life. Whether future evidence changes what historians know remains to be seen. But one thing is already certain. The conversation surrounding this alleged letter has reminded the world that royal history is rarely as simple as newspaper headlines suggest, and that separating documented fact from compelling speculation is often the most fascinating part of the story itself. Why stories like this never disappear. Whether the alleged Diana letter is ultimately authenticated or not, one thing is already beyond dispute. It has reignited worldwide interest in one of the most fascinating periods of modern royal history. Within hours of the story spreading online, thousands of people began debating its authenticity, sharing theories across social media, and revisiting documentaries, biographies, and historical accounts in search of answers. That reaction says just as much about the public as it does about the monarchy itself. For decades, the British royal family has occupied a unique place in popular culture. Every photograph, every interview, every memoir, and every newly released document has the potential to reshape public opinion. Because so much of royal life happens behind palace walls, people naturally wonder what remains hidden from view. That curiosity has followed Princess Diana more than almost any other royal figure in modern history. Since her tragic death in 1997, countless books, documentaries, and investigations have examined her life from every possible angle. Some have uncovered genuine historical insights through newly released records and first-hand testimony. Others have relied on speculation, anonymous sources, or theories that remain impossible to verify. Distinguishing between those two categories has become one of the greatest challenges for both historians and audiences alike. The alleged letter fits squarely within that conversation. If credible evidence were ever to emerge confirming its authenticity, historians would undoubtedly examine it carefully alongside other contemporary documents from the period. Private correspondence has often helped scholars better understand historical events by revealing personal thoughts that never appeared in official records. However, until that kind of verification exists, the alleged letter remains exactly that, an unverified claim discussed widely online rather than an established piece of royal history. Even so, the story has encouraged many people to reconsider Princess Anne's public image. For years, Anne was often portrayed as reserved, practical, and focused almost entirely on duty. Unlike Diana, she rarely sought media attention or spoke publicly about private family matters. Yet in recent years, appreciation for Anne's decades of public service has grown considerably. Many royal commentators now describe her as one of the monarchy's most dependable figures, admired for her consistency rather than her publicity. That reputation helps explain why so many people found the alleged story believable. It aligns with the image of Anne as someone who quietly supports her family without seeking recognition. Whether or not the alleged letter exists, her documented record already demonstrates remarkable commitment to public service spanning more than 5 decades. The same is true of Charles Spencer. As Diana's brother, he has long been one of the most recognizable voices preserving her memory. His powerful eulogy at Diana's funeral remains one of the defining moments of that period, and he has continued speaking publicly about his sister through interviews, books, and historical projects. Because of that history, many people were quick to assume the viral claims involving him might be genuine. Yet even respected public figures can become the subject of fabricated stories online. That reality highlights an increasingly important challenge in the digital age. Social media allows information to spread across the world within minutes. Unfortunately, verified reporting, speculation, opinion, satire, and outright fiction often circulate together, making it difficult for readers to distinguish one from another. A dramatic headline can be shared millions of times before professional historians or journalists have an opportunity to evaluate its accuracy. The alleged Diana letter demonstrates exactly how quickly that process can unfold. Its emotional themes, family, loyalty, motherhood, and royal duty, resonate deeply with audiences. Whether or not the document proves authentic, those themes reflect genuine questions people continue asking about Diana's life and legacy nearly 30 years after her passing. Perhaps that is why stories like this continue appearing. They are not simply about solving historical mysteries, they are about understanding the human beings behind the crowns, titles, and ceremonies. People want to know how family relationships evolved behind palace walls, They wonder who supported whom during moments of crisis. They search for evidence that reveals compassion, forgiveness, and loyalty beneath the carefully managed public image of the monarchy. Some of those answers may eventually emerge through authentic historical records. Others may remain forever unknown. And perhaps that's exactly why public fascination with the royal family continues generation after generation. History rarely consists of simple heroes and villains. More often, it is a complicated collection of personalities, private conversations, difficult decisions, and incomplete records. That complexity is what makes royal history so endlessly compelling. The alleged Diana letter may or may not become part of that documented history someday. Until then, it serves as an important reminder that extraordinary claims deserve careful examination, and that separating evidence from speculation remains one of the most important responsibilities of both historians and audiences. Because in the end, preserving the truth is every bit as important as discovering it. Whether this alleged letter ultimately proves authentic or simply becomes another fascinating royal mystery, it has reminded millions of people why Princess Diana's legacy continues to captivate the world. Separating documented history from online speculation isn't always easy, but it's essential if we want to understand the remarkable lives behind the headlines. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think more historical records will emerge in the years ahead, or will some royal mysteries remain unsolved forever? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this documentary, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Crown Secrets, and turn on notifications for more in-depth royal stories.